Good day, students. Welcome back to my online video tutorial series. At the end of this video, you should know how to create viewports and scale your drawing in different viewports. At times you want to show, well, for your SBA, you are required to show all your construction details. And separate and apart from that, you'd want to show the final or finished product. To do that, use different viewports. So you should have at least 2 viewports for your plane and solid geometry. So we'll be showing you how to create a viewport. If you look down here, we have model space and we have paper space, layout or paper space. The paper space is where we go to set up to choose our paper size and create our viewport or scale or set up our drawing on paper for printing. So, well, currently I have one viewport here. If I click here, this is a pre-bordered viewport sheet that I created. I created this. So you could create your own template with your layout, or you could use one from the computer. You could also quickly create one. So I'll show you how to create, how to change the paper, create the viewport, and also add a quick title block to it. So to import your drawing in this viewport, that can be done several ways, but I will be showing you the shortest way to do it. You simply type MV, type MV, enter. And you will notice down here that you have shade, plot, lock, object, polygonal, restore, and layer. To create a rectangular viewport, you would click at a point up here, then drag, and the drawings will fall automatically drop into the viewport. You could also create another viewport by clicking there again. You could also use a particular shape to create that viewport. Say, for example, if you wish to, I wish to create a viewport using a particular shape. So I first type create a shape. Say, for example, I wish to use the circle as a viewport. I first draw the circle. I then type MV, or I go to layout could work as well, but I love to use a shortened method for drawing. So the first thing is, the next step would be to type MV, enter. And for this, you're gonna select object or type O, because this is object that you want to use as a viewport. So you type O, enter, or click on object. You then click this, and there you have it. The viewport pops up into this. You could click two times to activate this viewport, and from that you can zoom to whatever you want. Yeah, remember, it's very important for you to create a layer for your viewport. Yeah, as in most cases you might not want your viewport lines to show up in the print in the final drawing. So it's good to create a layer for viewports, and you could then turn it on or off as needed. So that is one way. So you could scale this also. So you could click on this, click on the viewport, and you could create a scale from there. You could also scale it, but I'm not gonna. So there are approximately 3 ways in which you could scale this drawing. You could scale this drawing by one. It's important to understand, well, there's a need to understand model space and layout or paper space. Model space is basically where we do most of our drawings in the model space. Paper space is where we print from or set up our drawing. You can scale a drawing from model space. And to activate a viewport, here we have three separate viewports. We have one viewport here, one here, one down here. To activate a viewport, you click 2 times on it. And you will know when a viewport is active when the north, south, east, west, and the WCS coordinate pops up. When you're in model space, you can actually modify the drawing. So you can actually delete those lines, delete those lines, and they will be gone for good. Or trim, TR, enter, enter. Enter. So you can edit in model space. You cannot edit in paper space or in layout space. So once you click 2 times inside here, you're in model space. Click 2 times outside, you're now in paper space. Or you can type MS for model space and PS, like PS, enter to change to go to paper space, or MS, enter, model space. So you can switch between model space and paper space. It's important to note that you can also dimension in paper space. And with that, you can set your limit, set your text size to the size that you want it to be on the actual paper, and dimension and or label your drawing in paper space. Well, I will not be getting into this video because this video is really not for that purpose. All right, so I'm here. So I want to change from model space to paper space. It's important to know that you can, as I mentioned before, you can scale a drawing in the model space. So once you're in model space, scale will pop up down here, right here. Once you're in model space, you'll see a scale popping up here, down here. It's only visible when you're in model space. When you're in paper space or you're in layout view, it will not be visible. Yeah, so look at this. I'm gonna click 2 times outside to change my paper space, and see it disappears. It's no longer there. It's only visible when you're in paper space. All right, let's do some scaling. So here we have three viewports. We can use 3 separate scales for these. So for this one, say for example, you have a drawing and you want everything to show on one viewport. You could click here, inside here, and choose a scale. Click here and choose whatever scale you want that to be. 1 to 10, that's the 1 to 10 look. You could 1 to 16, that's how it looks. And you could 1 to 10, 1 to 8, that's 1 to 8. You might want to work with that depending on what you want, 1 to 8. And you could also lock that scale by clicking here. So once you lock that scale, it cannot be adjusted. You will have to unlock it. So to come out of that, I'll click 2 times outside, click outside that viewport, So this scale, PS, enter. So if you're trying to get out of model space and it is not, the mouse is not responding, you can simply type PS, which is paper space or paper scale, paper space. All right, so that is space, model space and paper space. All right, so this viewport is locked at 1 to 8. You could also choose a different viewport for this. So I could click onto, so that is one way to go into model space and select the scale from down here. You could also scale it from paper space, where you click onto the circumference of the onto the viewport, in this case a circle, and then you click onto the circumference viewport, then right click, go down to properties, and you can select a scale from here. I can select whatever scale you want this to be, 1 to 8. So as I move this here, if we look within the circle, that is changing. So I might want to choose probably 1 to 2, 1 to 4, 1 to 4 for this. All right, 1 to 5 would have been like that. I think 1 to 5 might be a little better. So I could choose 1 to 5 for that. I could come up here and choose a different scale. So I could also lock that viewport as well. So I could come up here, zoom into this, choose the part that I want, and create a scale for it. It's important to note that I could also increase the viewport if I want. I could increase the viewport by pulling those grips. Scale that. Say, might be a case if you want to feature only a particular part of this drawing. Say, for example, the plan or the development or wherever it is that we want to feature. We could just bring that part onto the drawing and create a scale there and lock it right there. All right, so by the way, so that's pretty much a principle there behind viewport, and it's important to state the scale that you use. So for this one, the scale is 1/8. So I'm going to go in paper space, PS, enter, and I'm going to write text to scale right here. So I go to text. And please note that I'm writing in I'm doing this in paper space. In paper space, I can let my text height be 10, 1, 0, enter. Rotation angle is that. And so this is 1, 2, 1 to 8. That's my scale, 1 to 8. So this is 10. That might be really relatively large and compared to that. Please note that I did that while in model space. I think this might be a bit large. Probably I should change this to probably 5 or something. So I'm going to change that from that to 5. 5 tab. And so that should be good. What I did, I changed that from properties. I used properties to change that. Yeah, escape. 1 to 8. I could also add my name and a title block here in paper space. So I'm going to type PS, enter, to ensure that I'm in paper space, and I'm going to quickly generate a rectangle right here. Let this be 50 by 50 by 50, 50, 5, or 50, 4, enter. Oh, I can't make it 50. Delete this, remember. it has to be, let's be, the paper size is, the paper itself is, well, yes, it should be. Let's go again, rectangle, REC, click here. Let that be about, let that be about 40, 40, comma, 5, enter. Yes. And I could copy this, CO, enter, specify the base point. And I could just drop one there, and I could create a title block real quick, just like that. I'm gonna move this, enter. I'm gonna bring this from there up to the corner, right there. So I could create a title block right from here, from paper space, not model space. If you try to do this in model space, it would not come out like this. So it's important to note. All right, it's important to note. You could also dimension in paper space. All right, so let me just confirm that I'm in paper space. And I could go to dimension. Could go to dimension. Let's do linear. And I could click here and click there. And I could add a dimension to it. Yeah. So I could also dimension here. So you don't necessarily have to set up those dimension techniques that I teach you. But these are a little bit more advanced. You know, I'm going to teach you the basic stuff. Yeah. Because you need to have a good understanding of the viewports and all of that before you can set up a dimension. So you don't necessarily need to have an annotative dimensioning. And I strongly discourage students from using annotative dimensioning. It can be a little challenge. If you're going to use annotative dimensioning, it is much easier if you use paper space, much easier, because I find that with annotative dimensioning, it can cause some problem. All right. So I think that's pretty much that for this video. So far we looked at how to create a viewport. So to create a viewport, you simply go to layout. So here I create a new layout. My computer is not responding. A new layout, and I'm going to delete this one. Delete. And I type MV. So this is pretty much a new layer that I created here. Look here, layer 2. I could also rename this. Let me just right click and rename it. Rename it. Let's call this development, or the orthographic, ORTHO, ortho, GRAPHIC. Let's name it orthographic. That's the name for it. Quick and fast. Now to create a viewport, I just type MV, enter, and I click inside. You must ensure that your viewport is within that broken line. If it is not within that broken line, anything beyond that broken line will not be printed, will not be picked up on the computer. So I click 2 times to bring this onto the screen. And I could do up my title block, go in paper space, and do up my title block here using the actual measurement that I want it to be. The 50 by 100 by 50, or whatever it is that you want to use. I can also scale it from here. Yeah, could also scale it from here. That is that. I could use 1 to 5. Let's do 1 to 5, or 1 to whatever it is that you want to use. 1 to 4, and then I could click, drag to where I want it to be. Or if I want 2 of them inside here, I could also do that. All right, it's pretty much that for that. Then you could go in paper space, or you could also import your title, your pre-bordered title block in this. But for CXC purpose, you just need a simple title block. So you could probably use a minute and draw and generate that title block real quick. With your name for CXC, what you want is not your right name, your center number, your the drawing that you do, the question number, your center number, and your personal number, and probably your territory. I think so, your region or your center. Yeah, I think so. So that's all there is for this video.